Good evening, and welcome to Think About It Thursday. My name is Henry Dotson, founder of Our Journeys of Faith Life, a Christian coach. It's Monday, new day of the month, so I've got to start it all over again. Welcome. My name is Henry Dotson, founder of Our Journeys of Faith Christian Cancer Coaching. Got it right that time. And this is Think About It Thursday, where we talk about a topic that we have come to think about for the week. And where we are on a spiritual cancer journey, which may be something that most people don't really think about when they're diagnosed with cancer. Christians diagnosed with cancer, they're not looking at it as a spiritual cancer journey. But in reality, when you get diagnosed with cancer and you're in a battle with cancer, it's not just your body, it's your mind and your spirit. And everyone that comes along on the journey with you has their own battle with cancer. So we're talking about the spiritual battle that you're having with cancer and how you can transform that battle into a purposeful journey of faith. So we've been spending these weeks talking about what that spiritual journey of faith will look like. And now we're at the point where, from a medical perspective, you are in active treatment and you are been going through some pain and suffering, and things are getting difficult. And so now your faith is really being challenged. In the last couple of weeks, we talked about how Satan wants to take the opportunity to attack you while you're vulnerable, to get you to question God's character. He wants you to think that God is not trustworthy, and he's going to play that battle out in your mind. So last week we talked about the battlefield of the mind. And so we move on now to continuing into this spiritual battle that you're having, and now you are declining, as we said, into the valley of dependence. And this decline is happens from a physical perspective, is that you are starting to decline from being able to depend on your raw talents, natural abilities, and gifts to get you through. You're going to start having to depend on others. You are no longer in control of what you thought you were in control of. And so you're going down, you're descending down into this valley of dependence. And so the question is what are you, who and what are you depending on? And so the question for today, for our Think About It Thursday, is to think about you have depended on in times of trouble. Did you depend on yourself, others, or God? And while you're thinking about that, think about, how did it work out when you depended on yourself or others? And if you did depend on God, then the question is to think about, was it easy for you to depend on God? And what did you learn from depending on God? So that's the question of the Think About It Thursday questions that we're asking. And so in our normal format, we started off this week with a Mindset Monday that was thinking about this topic. And so on Mindset Monday, we said that you should have the mindset that you must build your reliance on God instead of yourself. So that's something that may be a little hard for you to do. You may not really want to depend on anything other than yourself. But as you decline into this valley of dependence, all the things that you could do, you can't, they're not going to help you. You will reach a point where you realize that your natural abilities, your raw gifts and talents will not sustain you. You've already lost control of your schedule and what you can do and what you cannot do, and also what you must do. People are always telling you at this stage what you have to do, which for most of us is not a pleasant thing. So you're beginning, as we say, to descend into the valley of dependence as the last waypoint on your road of trials. So, for those who are not familiar with what we're talking about, on the road of trials is one of the phases of your spiritual cancer journey that we've talked about already. The beginning of your cancer journey, which is we called it the providential beginnings, and from a medical perspective, it's the time up until you actually start doing something to address your cancer. So this is everything from before you even knew you had cancer to the point that you've been diagnosed with cancer, but you haven't really done anything about it yet. You just are aware of the fact that you have cancer and you've processed it a little bit. And it's before you actually step into that unknown cancer world. So we call that phase of your cancer journey from a spiritual perspective, we call that your providential beginnings. And once you got into the unknown cancer world, we said that phase of your spiritual cancer journey is what I call the road of trials. And so this is where you will find trials and tribulations. You will be tested. You will go through a lot of things. But from a spiritual perspective, you need to find your tribe of people who are going to walk alongside you. You need to decide how and when you're going to share information about your cancer to others. You're going to deal with those trials and tribulations. And this is where we said Satan is also going to try to attack you at this time. And then we talked about now you're starting to decline into this valley of dependence. And so here we are, and you're starting to realize that you really can't do much and you have to depend on others. And so the question is, again, as you begin on this is the last waypoint on your road of trials. You're beginning to descend into that, you're beginning your descent into the valley of dependence. And this is the question that we're asking is, who are you depending on at this time? Who is it that you're relying on to take care of things? And so are you relying on yourself or are you relying on others? And we are encouraging you to have the mindset that you need to start relying on God instead of on yourself. And because if you are relying on yourself, you know that you're not going to be able to really take care of the situation. So you really need to start relying on God and letting go of relying on yourself. And there's another reason why you should, and that's because you don't want to think in your mind that you can really handle this. That's a dangerous place to be. And it's dangerous for your health, and it's dangerous for your spiritual life. And the reason why it is we brought that up in our Tip Tuesday. And on Tip Tuesday, we said that self-sufficiency is Satan's net where he catches men like poor, silly fish and destroys them. And this was by Charles Spurgeon, who was a great theologian back in the, I think it was early 1800s. And so Satan is counting on you to think that you can be self-sufficient. He wants you to lose your trust and confidence in God and to start to think, well, I guess I'm going to be able to do this and I can do this by myself. That is exactly what he wants you to do. And as Charles Spurgeon says, he'll catch you in his net like silly little fish. So you're trying to do this all by yourself, and you're just making yourself available to be scooped up by the devil, and then he's going to destroy you. So it's very dangerous for you to think that you are self-sufficient, especially when you are in a battle with cancer. So that's the tip from for Tuesday from Charles Spurgeon. And not to think that this is just something that we're advising. We have a Wisdom Wednesday where we also back this up with scripture. And so on this Wisdom Wednesday yesterday, we had this quote from Proverbs, and it said, "Be not wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and turn away from evil. This will bring healing to your body and refreshment to your bones." Well, scripture can't be more clear than that. And it ties in exactly with what Charles Spurgeon was saying and what we're encouraging you to do with your mindset. And that is to learn to trust in God, lean on Him, and steer away from evil. And so that evil is what Charles Spurgeon was talking about, where Satan can snare you in his net and he will destroy you. But the scripture says that if you trust in God and do not rely on yourself and you steer away from evil, that this will bring healing to your body and refreshment to your bones. Now, I think that's good news. And that's exactly what happened to me. When I stopped trying to do anything and realized that the only one who could was God, and I trusted in Him, it did bring healing to my body and nourishment to my bones. So this is not something that I'm just talking about from a academic or theoretical point of view. This is what happened to me during my cancer journey. So I'm passing that along to you, other Christians who are going through your own cancer journey after diagnosis, and say that as you start to lose your ability to be in control of things and you have to start relying on others, and that reliance on others will start with the help of your doctors, the help of your nurses, the help of the attendants that get you in and out of bed, that take you places. As you start to depend on these people for your physical needs because you can't, and you depend on others to do things around you just to support your environment, like cleaning your room or even helping you to take a shower, or all those things, as you start depending on them, you also need to start depending more on God from the spiritual aspect. So that's what we're encouraging you to do. Which leads us back to our Think About It Thursday questions, which is to think about who you have depended on in times of trouble. Did you depend on yourself, others, or God? And how did it work out when you depended on yourself or others, when you were truly in times of trouble? And was it easy for you to depend on God? And what did you learn from depending on God? And because of our own self-will and nature to want to be able to do things and run things ourselves, I know that for some, it's hard to depend on God. It's not easy to do that if you've never really had to do it before. So as you think back on the times that you have, just think about how easy it was or wasn't. But the good thing is what were the lessons you learned from that? And I know for me, the lessons I learned was that I could trust God, that scriptures are true, and that if I have faith and I reach out in faith, that these things will come to pass. So I hope that that helps you this week as we think about trusting in God as you are starting to decline, as you are starting to go down that valley of dependence. And eventually you will hit the bottom where you are, and we'll get to that in the next few weeks. But the idea right now is to recognize there will be a descent, and you can't fight it. God won't keep you from experiencing it, no matter how hard you pray. So just be prepared to trust in God and lean more into Him. I hope that you'll find that all helpful. And we look forward to seeing you again next week on Think About It Thursday. And I just let you know that this Sunday I will be at a book fair. And if you stay tuned on my social media posting, I will put out where it is. It's actually this Sunday at 11 o'clock in Los Angeles, and I can give you the address of it later. But just be aware of that. And I look forward to seeing you again next Thursday. If I don't see you on Sunday, if some of you have time to make it there. So take care and God bless, and we'll see you next week.